Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of MS Gamers Hut. And I'm your host, Ted Michael. So what did you think of the games I reviewed last week? I really liked Warband Bushido. Which one did you like best? This week, I'm doing fighting games. Fighting games are a video game genre in which the players control an on-screen character and engage in close combat with an opponent, which can be either an AI or controlled by another player. Fighting games got their start in 1976 with Heavyweight Champ, and with Karate Champ being the game that made the genre popular. The first game I'm going to review is Injustice: Gods Among Us. It's exactly the kind of glorious fight you expect from the DC Universe's mightiest and Injustice game, Gods Among Us. Makes it almost as fun and rewarding to watch as it is to play. NetherRealm's follow-up to Mortal Kombat is both a very good brawler and a big story slop love letter to fans. And while it buckles just a bit under the weight of all it tries to do, Injustice definitely earns its spot on the shelf of fighting aficionados, whether they dig comics or not. For its first trick, Injustice does something a few fighting games ever attempt to do: tell an interesting story. What if Superman lost faith in humanity and, with his near infinite powers, decided it was time to stop protecting and start ruling? Without ruining anything, you've rarely seen Supes quite like this before. We've seen him retire into Kingdom Come and watched him wreck shop without being mind controlled a few billion times. But this is far darker spin than all of that. This isn't about a mopey alien who just wants somewhere to belong. It's about a god who's decided his subjects no longer deserve free will. As heavily as it sounds, Injustice still finds time for the same kind of action-adventure and humor that made Injustice League animated series such a treat. In fact, much of the original JL voice cast is in action here, including Kevin Conroy as the Dark Knight himself and George Newbern as Superman. The story mode's primarily fault is that it exceeds Justice's graphical grasp. Close up on main characters look good, but when the in-engine cut screen attempts to depict clashing armies or sweeping cityscapes, bland textures and shoddily modeled buildings erode and visible impacts a bit. It's only because the in-fight graphics usually have such a sheen to them that this dip in visual quality seems so stark. During battle, Injustice makes the unreal look simultaneously unbelievable and unhinged, a great combination for capturing the godlike abilities of DC's finest. The cast is varied, interesting, and thankfully devoid of ninja lookalikes. More than I can say for Mortal Kombat 9 as it launched. NetherRealm took 24 characters, many of whom have never been seen in a video game, and translated their abilities and personas over beautifully, even more so than the impressive whiz-bang effects. This is just the greatest feat. There's relevance for the DC universe in each menu screen and every matchup specific line of dialogue. As for the over-the-top stage changes, I have mixed feelings. Sure, it's badass when Doomsday backhands Superman, clean through a pair of skyscrapers in downtown Metropolis. But when mere mortals, villains, or heroes like Batman or Green Arrow do the same exact thing, it just looks plain silly. I'm not trying to go nerd police here, but such moments undermine all the efforts that clearly went into making these characters move and play like you'd imagine they should. Between that and animation that look great can crumble at times. It never keeps the fighting from being fun, but Injustice is so effective when it maintains that spell that I hate to see it broken. So Injustice mostly stays faithful enough to its comic book roots, but how true does it stay to its Mortal Kombat one? The short answer is only as much as it needs to. All the best things about Mortal Kombat are presented in spades. Beefy, high-impact hits that sound like as brutal as they look, and long, satisfying juggle combat still abound. But so much more has changed for the better. Traditional direction-based blocking replaces the block button, making actual cross-up possible. Those are no longer a pure 50-50 mix-up like they are in Mortal Kombat 9. Thanks to a universal tech input, combo breakers are only possible once per match now, and are part of a wider variety of useful ways to spend meter that make decision to save it or for an emergency, or more meaningfully one. This broadens the tactical possibilities for players at every level. Two other new systems help further differentiate Injustice from its ancestor. The subtler of the two is the character-powered system. Each fighter possesses a unique mechanic based on their superpowers that truly makes their style distinct. Solomon Grundy, for instance, gets a series of chain throws, each of which buffs a different attribute of his for the remainder of the match. The Flash, on the other hand, can call upon the Speed Force to effectively slow opponents to a crawl. NetherRealm got pretty creative with these, and learning how to leverage them properly adds another level of technical nuance and variety. Also new, but potentially more troublesome, are the interactive environments. Each setting is jam-packed with heavy objects to pick up and throw, or bounce your opponents off of, and landing certain attacks at the right spot triggers a stage chain, sending your enemy careening spectacularly through a series of obstacles. Now, I'd be lying if I'd said that all the wanton destruction wasn't great fun, because it totally is. I just don't know how balanced it'll prove to be. Environmental attacks are completely unlockable and either shear off sizable chunks of life or leave you open to eat a full combo, and sometimes both. I've already seen people execute 100% combos on certain stages, and that's potentially game-breaking for high-level players. NetherRealm appears to be concerned about them as well, since it's included the option to turn them off. Regardless, I'd rather not have to. Finally, I'd be doing injustice if I didn't mention just how much content is included. NetherRealm has once again spoiled us with things to do and a mountain of costume, art, and music to unlock. Star Labs is the new challenge tower, offering hundreds of fights to compete under special conditions. If you feel like jumping into a series of matches, you can unlock and fight in a number of battle ladders, each with different stipulations like heroes only or surviving on one health bar. Training mode has been significantly beefed up too, with frame data and detailed move description built right in. Online lobbies have also improved, with the ability to get XP on who will win the next match, and even issue challenges for how they'll win it. It helps keep lobbies fun and interactive, even when it's your last in line to fight. Given the success NetherRealm has had with Mortal Kombat, it would have been easy to clone it and swap with new characters, and yet it didn't. Instead, it kept what worked and built upon it to make injustice God among us, an exciting one at the advanced level. Story mode is a pleasant surprise, but the real reason the play is the thrill of harnessing the godlike powers of some of the most overwhelming figures in the comic realm. The jury's still out on whether or not it presents a fair fight, but it's definitely an enjoyable one. The next game I'm going to cover is called Iron Kill Robot Fighting Game. Iron Kill is a mobile robot fighting game from PlayMotion, available for Android and iPhone. The latest update for the game was back in June and nearly doubled the game's content, including 12 new robots. Iron Kill is free to play and one of the highest rated fighting games on the mobile market. Set in a post-apocalyptic world where robots fighting in a popular sport, Iron Kill doesn't push the story aspect too hard, with good graphics and appropriate sound effects. The robots of Iron Kill all have great personalities and come across without any dialogue. Iron Kill is truly a button-smashing fighting game with all the typical mobile game garnish sprinkled in. The controls are straightforward, with one button for heavy attack, one button for light attacks, and another for blocking. Special abilities and special attacks are activated with smaller buttons atop the main touch controls. Iron Kill can easily be played with one finger, yet activating the smaller buttons can be a bit more difficult, perhaps because of their size. Timing is an important skill for Iron Kill players and is used to execute special attacks and landing basic attacks combos on opponents. Another important aspect of gameplay is intellectually upgrading your robots. Players can choose to research new technology and upgrade their robot parts with in-game currency to become more powerful and perform better in the campaign championships. Of course, Iron Kill is a free-to-play mobile game, meaning there are a lot of ads and in-game purchases. Ads show up between matches for a freemium experience. In-game gold is accrued through players' progression in the game, while gems are purchased with real money to expedite players' experience and creates a pay-to-win situation. Energy is the paywall mechanic used to make players wait in order to continue playing when their little energy bars is depleted. Paying gems will immediately refill it. Otherwise, players can wait a matter of minutes to accrue more energy. Special in-game events give players an opportunity to gain a lot of rewards. However, these events sap a lot of energy, which serious players can invest in more energy. The paywall mechanics plus premium ads used in Iron Kill seems like a bit much, but it isn't any more atrocious than most other free to download mobile games. While reviewing Iron Kill often froze up or blacked out, the app doesn't seem to multitask well. If users switch between other apps or have other things open on their device in the background, the game is likely to stop working. Negatives aside, there is a reason Iron Kill is rated so highly. With the fighting genre predominantly by button combo, it is hard genre to translate into a mobile game. Iron Kill makes the combo simple and adds just the right amount of special moves to make each robot feel unique. Iron Kill's upgrades system is just as entrancing in the gameplay as it is in the encroaching in-game purchases. Players can feel the difference in their robots after installing upgrades, making earning all that in-game currency worthwhile. As players progress through a championship campaign, they will be faced with timed knockout and best of 3 challenges to give a nice bit of variety to the game. As a mobile fighting game, Iron Kill excels. Fans of the fighting genre will want to give Iron Kill a try. PlayMotion also has been added great content with their updates, giving the game some longevity. The freemium and paywall mechanics can get annoying though, and on top of that, the application's performance can add frustration with its frequent freezes. The next game I'm going to review is WWE Immortals. I'm not sure there's ever been a phrase that has immediately piqued my curiosity more than a WWE game designed by the Mortal Kombat NetherRealm. has done something pretty interesting with the WWE Immortals, conceptually, if not mechanically. The collaboration between the Mortal Kombat studio and the WWE has brought us a free-to-play mobile title loaded with microtransactions on iPhone and Google's stores. I think at this point we can skip the eye rolling and understand that's how the market works for the most part on mobile platforms. But what I found was a game with a cool central concept and solid execution. Mobile is limiting factor in many ways, but working within those constraints, WWE Immortals is actually pretty damn well good. Immortals twists the existing roster of WWE characters into something fantastical. As the brief introductory scene explains, when trying to take control of a dark magic lantern, the Authority managed to open a portal to a host of alternative dimensions, ones where WWE stars aren't just wrestlers, but heroes of all sorts. As a result, we get WWE wrestlers with a wide range of new skins pulled from these parallel universes. Big Show is a barbarian mountain giant. Diva Bella is a ice switch, Undertaker is a necromancer, and so on. The different characters have alternative forms that draw from all sorts of fantasies, with a few going outside of those constraints, like superhero John Cena, complete with cape. You assemble a team of 3 and face off against AI opponents or other players online. For now, I've been climbing the AI ladder, which starts off as cake, but slowly gets harder over time. Combat is pretty simplistic, as they may expect on mobile. Outside of rare games like Infinity Blade, hand-to-hand combat in mobile games isn't usually a terrible complex system. Another realm isn't trying to reinvent the wheel with WWE Mortals. You tap to unleash a string of basic punches and kicks. If you land a few, the game will prompt you to swipe a particular direction for a heavy attack. And so I was a bit disappointed to see that no matter which direction you swipe, it's all the same attack animation, and it really doesn't even seem to do much more damage than a basic attack, despite knocking your opponent over. Past that, you can press 2 fingers to block, but so far I've only used that sparingly, as I've steamrolled most opponents with a constant flurry of tapping. Dealing and taking damage with build your stamina meter, and each combatant has 3 levels of super attacks. Many of these are comic book versions for real life movies the wrestlers do in the ring. Meaning, for example, Roman Reigns' iconic Superman punch now takes him 10 feet into the air and slams him into his opponent with the force of a freight train. When you start, you only have your level 1 move, and you have to unlock the others over time, either through grinding or finding a lucky upgrade in a booster pack. WWE Mortals has assembled its microtransactions into the addicting card pack form, the type which has gotten me to spend a lot of money on free-to-play Hearthstone to date. So far, I haven't gone broke pouring money into Immortals on day 1, but I did plunk down $10 to see what it would get me. There are many types of cards you can get, from fighters to upgrades to equipment. Fighters are tiered in bronze, silver, and gold categories. For instance, you start with the mountain giant version of Big Show, a bronze tiered character, but when I spend most of my $10 on a gold pack of cards, I got a gold tier lumberjack Big Show that's, even at level 1, has tripled the stats of my original Big Show, and a different level 2 lockable super move as well. Other cards will upgrade your special moves and overall health and damage. You can get these upgrades in packs, which will give you a bundle card discount, but you can rely on your luck to get what you want. For instance, the gold pack I bought was 75,000 coin and came with with Lumberjack Big Show and the other two cards. But the gold tier wrestler would have cost me 192,000 gold coins by himself if I bought him individually. It's an interesting dichotomy and not a bad microtransaction system. Naturally, it does take a very, very long time to save up for even something like a bronze tier pack. I'm not quite sure how the game calculates its earnings, but I only earn about 200 to 500 coins per 3-character match, and most of the time it's been around 250 so far. This may increase in time, but for now, it's slow going. The game also does have a stamina system to prevent endless grinding, unless you pay to recharge your meter, that is, but with 10 stamina bars per character, and each match only costing 1 bar, you can play for a lot longer than most other fighter-to-play games before hitting that wall. Past that, if you have a halfway decent-sized roster of fighters, you can swap out your exhausted team for a fresh one and keep fighting with more bars of stamina to work with. This, despite not being into fighting games all that much, being relatively annoyed by mobile in general and leaving the WWE behind about a decade ago, I have to say, I kind of like Immortals. The concept is fantastical. Version of WWE stars dressed up as Centurions, warlords, demons, makes it my inner 12-year-old smile. And the combat upgrade system is serviceable enough to keep me playing. It uses many of the same models as other free-to-play titles, but so far doesn't seem to be quite as annoying as when nudging you towards cash store. If this is a hit, which I imagine it will be, given the WWE fan base, I'm guessing the game will expand outward from here with more wrestler skins and so on. It's really not a bad effort, simplistic as it may be, and something of a pleasant surprise in the space. Hell, I'd actually love to see a console version. The next game I'm going to review is Entertainment Artist Sports UFC. Tension and danger, these two elements are what makes mixed martial arts thrilling to me. And sadly, there are two things that Entertainment Artist Sports UFC just cannot conjure up. Entertainment Artist has certainly put on a good show and laid a sound foundation upon which to build the next UFC game, but several errant balance and design decisions regarding both striking and grappling knock the teeth out of what should feel like a high-stakes game of inches. UFC was built exclusively for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and it shows these are some of the most impressive character models and animation I've ever seen in a game. Even up close and in motion, they appear natural and believable, especially during pre-match introduction. These virtual fighters convincingly exude the personalities of their real-life counterparts. George St. Pierre conducts himself with measured discipline, and the axe murderer creepily rolls his hands while maintaining his icy-cold stare. Combined with the spot-on TV-style presentation and energetic commentary, these touches help successfully bottle the tone and energy of the big UFC pay-per-view events. Even when fists start flying, good transitional animation hit reaction keep things looking fluid and organic, though it's disappointing that most of the grappling animations are the same from the character to character. That doesn't keep the sheer detail of animation from impressing, though. Skin ripples with impact, characters visibly wince in pain, and even crushing leg kicks and hand flails of leverage when the fight heads to the ground. These are flesh and blood warriors, not a pack of canny-looking puppets. Mixed martial arts is an extraordinarily complex sport, and I'm pleased that Entertainment Artists tried not to dumb it down at all. There are a ton of options for attacks, defense, stand-up, mat work, but it's more than the control scheme can readily handle. Be prepared to hold multiple shoulder buttons while fiddling with the analog sticks and face button all simultaneously as they got. Where UFC really gets into the weeds is with its overall balance. Having watched the good shape share of mixed martial arts, it's off-putting and deflating to see how the whole cast shrugs off shots that would fell even the stiffest-chinned fighter in the world. If Anderson Silva is whipping you around in a clinch, landing repeated knee bombs to your face, that should be a wrap no matter who you are. The same goes for submission battles. The system behind these grappling chess matches is actually pretty fun, and it's cool how it takes fighters' stats and stamina into consideration. But even sub attempts become a minute-long multi-stage duel no matter what. In fairness, this can happen in real UFC fights, but just as often, great jiu-jitsu practitioners will find an opening and slap a quick hold for a decisive tap out. It's unpresentable and dangerous to attempt. The fact that you can absorb a seemingly endless amount of punishment and have a forever to wiggle free of submission attempts made me feel safe no matter the situation. And safe is the opposite of how I want to feel in a MMA game. I want to think twice before throwing a punch when the spider starts bobbing and weaving. I want to tremble in fear when BJ Penn starts smothering me with his rubber guard to set up a Google Path. The same lack of stakes permeates the entire grappling game too. Sweeping and passing is just too easy, since you will always succeed unless your opponent does the correct counter. That might sound fair on paper, but in practice, it takes all the urgency out of the ground game. I'm never more than a single click of the controls from getting back to my feet if the opponent misses their counter window, which makes fighting far more dominant position more or less meaningless. Outside of the ring, UFC has little value to it. There's a series of challenges that teach you things that probably should have been in the tutorial you get wrangled into on first boot up. Online play is functional, but their career modes is more or less an endless repeating cycle of boring repetitive menus and cheesy attaboy. Customizing and progressing my fighter would have been a lot more fun if it didn't have to wade through so much tedium to do so. Entertainment Artist Sports UFC looks the part to a T, an exhaustive list of moves and techniques representing the complex nature of the sport as well. But knowing that each second could be your fighter's last is what gives weight and drama to mixed martial arts. And without that, these bouts fall flat. I love the amount of respect the developer clearly have for every aspect of the sport, but reverence and attention to detail alone can't stand in for a missing sense of danger and excitement. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of MS Gamers Hut. As usual, I'd like to thank MS&Me Radio for giving me the opportunity to share my passion for games and my listeners, because without you, there would be no MS and Gamers Hut. Next week, I will be trying to find some dragon-themed games to review. Goodbye, and keep gaming.